Hello, everyone. If I could get your attention. It's a pleasure to have everyone here for our lunchtime meeting, and I hope the dialogue is going well in the networking, and I think the team has done a great job. But it is my distinct pleasure and honor to be able to present to you the Governor of California, Jerry Brown. He's been a leader in environmental policy and supportive of much of what we're trying to do. And Governor, we really do appreciate having you here today. And without any further ado, please.
Well, first of all, welcome to Sacramento, those of you who are visiting, or even to California, from those of you who have come from other states. This is certainly a very timely topic, talking about the grid and our electrical production and consumption, coming as it is right after the ratification of the Paris Agreement by China and the United States. Very, very significant. Very significant because still there's quite a bit of opposition in the United States, certainly in the Congress, about dealing with things to do with climate change, and certainly in other countries around the world. And relative to the challenges that climate change presents, we still have a very steep hill to climb if we're going to be able to prevent the worst consequences of a changing climate. I don't know if you've been looking at the press lately, but what's been happening in Florida and New Orleans and here in California with tens of millions of trees that have died because of infestation brought on by drought. And while, of course, one is not able to precisely measure what's due to the changing climate and what's due to natural variation, nevertheless, we can get a glimpse of what the world will look like as the climate rises, as droughts occur more often, as the climate becomes more disruptive, storms become more severe. We're looking at human tragedy, but we're also looking at huge expenditures. Some people now are predicting, when I say people, scientists are predicting 6 feet of sea rise, and up till recently it's been more like 3 feet, and they keep upping that scientific community. In a place like California, just our San Francisco and Oakland airports, housing thousands of housing units along the San Francisco Bay. We're looking at lots of cost, and when we enjoy the affluence that, while not distributed as widely as it should be, or even equally, or even approximately equally, nevertheless, as we look forward, there's lots of liability coming down, and not just in relating to the costs that will be required by a changing climate, or by the fact that the fire season in California, for example, is months longer than it ever was historically. So we're spending many tens of millions more than we did before. But when you look at the other liabilities, the infrastructure, the roads and the bridges that are way under-financed. In California, it's maybe $60 billion in deferred maintenance on our roads. If you add in the liabilities on our pension and retiree health care, you're talking about hundreds of billions. And then if you add in the perhaps a low interest rate environment, so the returns will not meet what is expected and programmed in, you're talking very large expenditures that are just around the corner. And if that's in a world where climate change is also imposing tremendous costs, then you realize the imperative of making our electrical system as efficient as it possibly can be. And that's true of of many things in society. We're going to have to find ways of lowering costs while preserving quality and the things that we value. And the challenge is relentless. It's not going away. But of course, when there is a challenge, people do respond. And the pressure does create innovation. And that's what's happening. There's this larger challenge that I just tried to describe, but within that, the important subset of the electrical grid. And here in California, we're changing our energy mix. This year, during a certain part of the summer, renewable energy exceeded that of fossil fuels in the generation of electricity, and that will continue into the future. That's where we're going into the future. Not quite agreed on that. I don't think there's more than one or two Republicans in the entire Congress who would agree, but the scientific consensus is there, and our policy is very clear, and that policy is shared by some neighboring states, but increasingly this is where we're going. Now, in that context, where California is committed to increase its renewables to 50% by 2030, then how do we work with other states who have different perspectives? And that's something I think all of you are here to figure out, because we're not going to change differences, and different states have different needs and different experiences, and yet the efficiency of a wider grid is unmistakable. And the imperative is greater efficiency, greater elegance and intelligence in the way we use and produce electricity, the way we market it, and the way it moves around the system. So that's what's before us, and I can tell you we're going to continue innovating in this state. It wasn't too many years ago that our electric utilities said they could not get to 20% renewable electricity. Well, this month it's been over 26% renewable. They said they couldn't get there by 2020. Now they all are saying, the major privately owned utilities, they will get to 50% renewable by 2030. We think we'll get there 3 or 4 years before that. But in order to make it all work, we need a grid that is highly sophisticated. We need a grid that is coterminous with the technology and the capability that is possible today. So I hope you can work all that out and make sure that those who love coal and those who love the sun can sit down and work in a totally seamless web of interconnection, interaction, and happiness for all. That's what I think you're supposed to do. And if there's anything to do with sharing power across state lines, forget it. We don't spend our lives trying to attain this power to share it with somebody else. Well, not exactly. We're going to have to do something like that, and trying to get that through the political process will be difficult. But the times are changing. The technologies are forcing us to re-examine how things work. That's certainly happened. I want to bring up one more example. I can remember when I was Attorney General, and we were proposing the idea of storage and mandating the utilities to buy a certain amount of storage. Couldn't be done. They killed the bill a couple of times. Well, now that bill has passed, been in the books for a couple of years, and the utilities are well on their way to purchasing 1,300 megawatts of electrical storage. So I don't say that anything's possible, but we've proven over time that the human mind can engineer incredible things. And that's happening all over. It's happening, we're looking at possibility of self-driving cars, we're looking at drones delivering our groceries in the afternoon, or we're looking at schooling being delivered increasingly in a digital stream of one kind or another. So we are in a world of very rapid, disruptive change, and I hope we can make it as harmonious and as pleasant as possible. Thank you.